You have like the same color scheme too. This is meant to be. I love this. You're my new favorite person.
My new best friend, Madame Mayhem.
That's it. That's it. We're twins already.
Twinsy. Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the great Madame Mayhem. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too shabby for the end of the week. I start all these interviews off kind of lately the same way. Obviously, I'm super excited to talk about your new single and hear about your career, but obviously it's a crazy time and I don't want to lose that humanity part of life. So of course, I hope you're okay. Hope your musical collaborators and band people are well. I hope your family's well. This is just such a crazy time for all of us.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Luckily everyone is hanging in there on my end. Hope everyone's okay on your end and everyone out there, it's been pretty nuts. So, everyone just hang in there. Hopefully we'll get to the end of this soon.
Right. You have been a very prolific pro musician for a long time. I have to imagine this is really hard for you personally to not be able to do shows and meet people and do your thing for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I love writing music and creating, and that's obviously what I do, my favorite thing in the world has always been performing live and connecting with fellow rock and metal lovers like myself. So not having that live setting and not touring and not, doing any of that has been very strange. But, things happen, I guess. And, hopefully we can get back at it soon once it's safe. I mean, especially here in the New York area, there's nothing's going on right now. So.
Right. I'm hopeful. I've heard some cool things that maybe some bigger venues are going to start opening, and
right.
There's a plan to use sports arenas as vaccination sites, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
And maybe get some of those people back to work. Everybody can go back to work, staff, security.
Oh yeah.
Everybody. But yeah, it's a weird thing. Almost the problem in New York is too much choice. You could literally go to 5 different things every day and Broadway and never get bored. And now I wonder about what is coming back when it comes back, like who's still left standing.
Yeah, no, it's pretty scary to think about. You just hope that everyone can hang in there as long as humanly possible, so that when it does open back up, those whether it's the shows or the venues or the staff or whoever is working there, anywhere from the performers to the people working behind the scenes, you want everyone to be able to, you would hope to, pick up where they left off if at all possible. Yeah.
Right. It's like some weird mass collective thing where we all got abducted and then put back.
Right.
I hope that's how it goes, actually.
Right. Yeah.
I hope that's how it goes. This is I can't imagine I'm coming up on a year without a show, and it's just mind blowing to me still.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've been seeing a lot, like, your phone and all these social media apps, they tend to remind you like a year ago, this happened. Right. So I've been getting that all this past week. Like a year ago was our last tour. And we had just ended it a year ago, like in a couple of days. And that was it. Like, and so it's weird that it's been a full year without touring or without performing or without, the personal interactions with the fans. It's pretty crazy to think about, but hopefully soon we can do it again. And in the meantime, we can keep doing things like this and, keep people entertained as much as humanly possible in the meantime.
Right on. That's it. And you've been a very, intimate artist. People have gotten to see you up close and personal, small clubs, big theaters, big shows. When do you think you will personally feel safe? You're used to jumping in the crowd with the microphone and being right up front, which is your thing. I can't imagine you doing it any other way, but how you've done it. But when will you feel kind of comfortable and confident about doing even a show, let alone a tour?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about, because just as you said, like the band and I, we're very much like, before the show, always after the show, during the show, we are in the crowd, we are talking to people. I actually do our own merch after sets. So like, just because I want to interact with everybody and I want to like see the rest of the shows and everything like that. So we were joking about it the other day. Like, are we going to have to build like a plexiglass like thing around us so we can still interact? Like, but I have no idea. I really hope that once everything can get back to some sort of normalcy, that we will be able to, interact the way that we have been in the past, even if it's like a little bit more like slightly social distance. I really wouldn't want to lose, that connection, because it means a lot to me. And I'm sure it means a lot to the fans too, but the reason I do it is it's a selfish reason. I love to interact with everybody. And so, and that's also the energy we give off on stage. Like, we want to be able to get into the crowd and get into your face and do that. So I have no idea when, I guess as soon as all, if once it's safe enough and everything is opened up and there's whatever the new protocols may be, and, people are, following those, and we can get back out on the road, I'll feel comfortable again. I'm sure once the world is comfortable again, that's it. So you just got to wait and see what's happening. If there's just one venue that's going to open, I would wait until maybe more than one
Right.
figures it out. But it's more because I do want to have that interaction still. So hopefully soon.
Right on. And again, I'm more upbeat than I have been, which is saying a lot. And also, I just think on your side and on the artist side, having been a former performer, there's no actual replacement for that feeling of being on stage, and
totally.
singing, especially to people, is so personal. And even in the biggest venue in the world, it's still a one-to-one or a one-to-many experience. And it's like an addiction. There's no real replacement for it. It's like cheese or heroin or chocolate. Or sex. There's nothing else like it.
Right.
It's hard to explain to people who don't do it, but that to those who do,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've been trying to do these virtual festivals and some things, and interacting with fans on like a level like this, which is the best we can do at the moment. But it's definitely not the same. It's appreciated, and I love when people tune in. We're going to be doing a few more of those throughout this year while we wait. And so that's always, it's like I'm still performing to an extent, but to have that interaction is so, it's something I always talk about, about how important it is for me to connect. And as much as I love, releasing my recorded music, to be able to sing it live and to really get that fan interaction and see how it affects other people, just as it affected me when I created it. That's the coolest part. So hopefully we can do it ASAP.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just before I have so much I want to unpack about Cruel Heart, I wanted to just get to, have the Ghost Cult followers get to know you a little bit. I think you have a very interesting backstory about how you became Madame Mayhem. How did this happen? When did you pick up the microphone? What made you want to sing?
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this. I know this sounds so cheesy, but it's just fact. Ever since I can remember. So like, I was born wanting to do this. I've never wanted to do anything else. But being a New York kid, you tell your parents you want to perform and you want to like sing. So they throw you in like acting classes, singing classes, dance classes, and then you go more towards like the Broadway world because you're in New York. So, musical theater. And so I started doing that, and I'm classically trained in opera as well. But I was always a metalhead, and I was always a rock chick. And that was always the music that I was listening to. So I'd be in rehearsal for some show. And then, if I had like my iPod back in the day, and I would just like put my headphones in, and I'd be listening to rock and metal music. And when I'm in my car, that's all I listen to. And so, I was also always songwriting as well. And while this was happening, while my training was happening, and I really wanted to do that more than anything else, is I wanted to be able to perform live and connect with people with things I've gone through and how I'm feeling, and hope that touches other people, and people, who felt outcast like I did, and things like that could really, have something to lean on, just like I had music to lean on when I was going through things. And so when it came time to pick a real career path, and I went to college for music as well. And so, and I was songwriting for other genres at the same time. And when it came time to really make that decision, I was like, okay, this is a really hard industry. Like, and I know there's so many hard industries in this world, but this one, it's like, you really got to love what you do, because there are going to be so many days where you are just going to be miserable. So you might as well be loving what you do. Right. And so I wanted to do the genre in which I love to listen to, and that I feel so attached to, and the community that I'm part of. And so it was a no brainer to, stick to the hard rock world, because that's just what I love. And so, yeah, I have all this crazy cool training and background, which I think has prepared me discipline wise and musically and vocally. But, just listening to all sorts of, rock and metal music really helped me, express myself in my own way and got me here. And then my mom came up with the name Madame Mayhem because, of course, she did. And she's also the one who got me into rock. So it's her fault. I tend to tell her that all the time. She knows. And so when we were trying to figure out like names, it was pretty and easy. It was pretty easy. And it's just been like that ever since.
Nice. Just out of curiosity, because I have a couple of overlaps with you in some of those areas. I always found a lot of resistance. It's not so much from musical theater, because I'm that guy that says there's a thread in musical theater that goes to like Iron Maiden and
100%.
Alice Cooper and Meatloaf. But I did find a lot of resistance in the classical music world too. Whenever I mentioned like rock or heavy metal, people would recoil. Like I said, Dracula, and they thought they were getting bit. Did you have that same experience? Did you get any negativity?
I think it's a mix. I think it always depended on, the situation I was in, because there were a few people, especially in the classical music world, like when I was studying opera, there were a few overlaps, and same in musical theater where actually the woman who gave me my first musical theater job was Danielle Rudis, which is Jordan Rudis's wife. And so Jordan Rudis was hanging out all the time. And so that community was very accepting of both, because so it was very easy. So when I was first introduced to it, it was like, oh yeah, metal is totally cool with what I'm doing now. Like, this is totally fine. But then as I drifted off and did more things, people were like, oh, why are you, this isn't right. Like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing so much eyeliner? Why are you listening to this stuff? Is this music? And it's like, no, yeah, it is. And if you think about a lot of the classic metal bands, like there is so much classic music that you don't even think about, that there's so many similarities in the musicianship and in the skill that is needed, that it's actually very similar. And so when people did used to say things, whether it was on the metal side or the classical side, and they weren't getting it, it's like you have to show them, like, put something next to the other and realize that it's not so different, Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. I would definitely put Number of the Beast next to like Verdi or Mozart. So that's me. I'm
awesome.
I'm that person, but I also got a lot of grief for it back in the musical training days myself. So I was curious to see if I'm glad you didn't have such a bad time.
There's always grief though, right? Like, there's always going to be those people that don't get what you like or what you're trying to do, or, it's always that. There's always those people that are like, oh no, it just has to be this one thing in this one box, and that's what it is. And you always just have to be like those people are out of their minds. You can't just like focus on the one thing. Like, yes, we are studying classical opera now, but okay, what happens when we go to lunch? Like, what are you going to listen to? Or, you got to expand your horizons, and you have to, not everyone is going to have that same like, laser focused thing, and understand that things are influenced from other things.
Right on. So let's pivot for a second now. Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Cruel Heart, because it's your new single.
Yes.
And super cool track. And I think, your music, it's always, you've always worked with really excellent collaborators, but I think this is an especially great track and a very good pairing, I think, for you, because I think it brings out a lot of flavors vocally for you that I think we're getting to really hear now. Sometimes the composition of a track can almost, serve as a feature by itself of your talent, helps serve you up to people in a way that I think they will really get you. And I think Cruel Heart does that.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I love this song. I've loved it ever since I wrote it with Keith Wallen. We wrote it a while ago, and it was one of the first songs we ever wrote together. And I remember being on a plane heading back home, listening to it. And I was just like, oh, I cannot wait for the world to hear this. Like, this is exactly what I've been trying to do, this whole time. And of course, every new work, like the newest work, is something that I'm the most proud of course, right? Because you evolve as you go through, and you always want your next piece to be better than the last. And so, but I really just love the song, and I'm so excited that, it's finally out for everyone to hear in the recorded version, because we were playing the song live the last couple of tours just to kind of test it out, to see how people responded. And it was definitely one of those songs where people will come up to us after the show and be like, oh, that really spoke to me, or that was just so great. And to get that feedback and to have people connect to a song that wasn't out yet, that no one had heard before, got me really excited to release this. So the fact that we were able to finally release it now, I'm just so thrilled.
Awesome. And yeah, it's also seems like a more personal track. Obviously, we all love the fist in the air rock and roll jams, but I think when you turn it a little more inward or reflective, or even if you're telling a story and you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, I think those are the songs that last with people a lot. So I think that's another real potential staying power of this track is high, I think.
Yeah, thank you. As I create and as I write and as time goes by, I'm becoming more and more vulnerable in my writing. And I remember when I first started writing, I tried to hide that a little bit. It's like, oh, no one wants to hear my issues. No one needs to get this personal. This is weird. But the more that you let yourself, go and kind of spill your guts, which I tend to do a lot. I'm an oversharer for sure when it comes to, things like that. But in the music, it helps. And it's actually very cathartic for me. I feel better. And people are like, whether it's the same situation or a different situation, people relate. Like, even if someone wasn't going through the exact same thing I was when I wrote it, it means something to them and it helped them. And so I think it's way better that, I'm definitely going to keep pushing that envelope and continue to be obnoxiously vulnerable for people to just know way too much, and through my music.
I hear you. Well, it's that's a really it's not the easiest thing to do, but yeah, we'll get some more songs like this. Maybe there'll be a payoff. Obviously, you don't want to exploit your pain, but yeah, it's good when it's. I think it is interesting. I think the journey of an artist is that you can totally that can change for you, where you can kind of get to that point over time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's difficult, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then I know you've worked with some really obviously great artists, but is there anybody you haven't worked with yet that you would like to? I'm sure there's a list.
I mean, there are so many. I have to start off by saying I feel so fortunate that I've been able to work with as many amazing people as I have. And the fact that a lot of my mentors are these amazing legendary artists that have believed in me enough that, they took time to, help me and nurture me, and whether it's produce my music or write with me or just support me, it's unreal. And so I appreciate all of them more than anything. And I would write again and work with all of them again, because it's just when you feel comfortable with that connection with someone, especially in the writing process, you need that trust, right? Because again, you are being vulnerable and you don't want to feel dumb when you say something, whether it's dumb or not. You want to have that collaboration. And so everyone I've been able to work with, I'm very fortunate and I thank them very much. And but as for, oh yeah, there's a huge list. Are you kidding? There's so many amazing artists out there and so many legends out there. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with, everybody. I'm very open-minded with collaborations. And so if there's an opportunity there and we can connect on that level, I would love to work, with there's a long list.
Nice. Well, I'd love to see some duets, some Madame Mayhem duets.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, it's been an insane time, and you're always working, even if there's no shows to go do. But what have you picked up anything extra in your musical arsenal since we've been on this kind of lock-in? Anything you started doing you didn't do before? Anything differently you've been doing?
Yeah. I mean, we've all had to adjust, right? I always had a small little area, like a mini kind of studio where I could just demo things really quickly, but I was never that tech savvy, right? And so my biggest thing is still user-friendly things. But during this time, I've really built out a home studio situation where I can learn and teach myself how to do, that side of things, the engineering side a little better, although I have a lot to learn, so that I can work remotely with all of these artists that I used to just fly out and, work with. And now we can't do that. So, just learning a lot of the technical things that, I never thought I'd have to really sit down and learn. And then also, we released this cover song for Living on the Edge back last year. And everything was obviously still shut down. And so I put together a video and that was new. So I have figured out some video editing. I mean, the fact that I pulled it off at all, I feel very impressed with myself, but is it going to be a new like full on skill? No, I'm going to stick to singing. I'm going to stick to writing and performing. But, these little skills that you're like having to learn now, it's kind of, at the time, it's uncomfortable to have to learn these things and get it out, but it's in the end, it's cool, that you're able to figure out some of this stuff during this time.
Nice. We'll make sure to link that along with Cruel Heart and all your social stuff in the description here on the video. Yeah, that was super cool. But yeah, I understand. You gotta take yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit every day.
Yeah.
But and along those lines, I was wondering if you had just picked up any hobbies, read a good book lately, seen any cool movies, listened to any good albums. What are you doing hobbies wise?
We've been watching like I think I've seen almost every movie ever now from at this time. So there are so many bad movies. Have you like, there are so many good movies out there in the world, and there's so many bad movies that you didn't know existed that only during this time would you ever discover the amount of movies there are that are just so bad. But you just watch them anyway, because what else are you doing? So I've been watching so much TV and movies. So if anyone has recommendations or shows or movies that they love, or new albums that they like of people who've released stuff, I'm trying to listen to everything right now. Hit me up on social media and tell me, because I run all the social media for Madame Mayhem as well, because that's the way I get my interaction with the fans fixed now. It's like, this is what I have. So let me know. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm writing a lot, experimenting with a lot of new things. It was really cool that we were actually able to release a music video for Cruel Heart during this time. So I was working a lot on that too. We worked with 1RPM Studios, and we got to do it in New York City, which was awesome, like being outside, even though it was freezing. And I ran a lot, so I got my cardio in. So I've been doing a lot of like outside. I mean, now it's snowing, so nothing's happening, but just doing things that you wouldn't normally do, whether it's for a video or for songwriting or for anything. I've just been doing a whole lot of trying a lot of new stuff from my home.
Nice, like all of us, of us.
It's all you can do.
We'll definitely catch up with you on social media. Fellow native New Yorker, fellow refugee from opera and the musical theater, and inadvertent flannel shirt twin.
I was gonna say, and we have like the same color scheme too. Like this is meant to be. I love this. You're my new favorite person.
My new best friend, Madame Mayhem.
That's it. That's it. We're twins already.
Twinsies. Great to see you here. Continued success. Keep safe. And we're looking forward to whatever you come up with next. I'm sure it's going to be a banger.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. This was really fun.